Hey, what's up everybody? Another Rocket League news video. Today's video we're going to be talking about how G2 Esports extended their Rocket League team's contract until 2022. Dreamhack is going to be producing RLCS X, and Dappur officially signs with Charlotte Phoenix. Before we get into that, as always, if you guys enjoy the content and want to further support me, you can find all the links to the social media shown right here down below in the description. And while you're down there, if you guys enjoy the content, make sure you guys give it a thumbs up, as well as hit subscribe and turn on notifications to make sure you don't miss out on the daily Rocket League videos. But with that said, let's get straight into the action. An article recently put out by G2 Esports talks about how 3 of their rosters in League of Legends, Rainbow Six Siege, and Rocket League have renewed their commitment to G2 and the G2 Army through 2022 and beyond. Their CEO Carlos Rodriguez, also known as Ocelot if you guys know him from his League of Legends days, says that we feel an incredible sense of pride each time partners, players, and fans decide to stick with us through the years. Our League of Legends, Rainbow Six, and Rocket League teams are sought after by organizations from North America, Europe, China, and SEA alike. Renewing their agreements with us underlines how great of a relationship we have with them, and it certainly gives us that same feeling of pride. We hope to continue to make our players, partners, and fans happy throughout the years. Keep sticking with us as we'll keep delivering. Much love. They then further break down specifically each of the teams, but the focus on Rocket League was that they cemented their place at the top of North America this spring with a dominating performance against rivals NRG in the grand finals. They're talking about the regional championship that they ended up securing, and this is kind of when they hit that hot streak of winning multiple tournaments in a row. The same roster that took second at Worlds in 2019. The guys love playing together. The new circuit, RLCS X, sees 3 splits followed by the World Championship in early 2021. These guys are geared up and ready for action this August when the new circuit begins and intend on sticking it out to conquer Worlds. They then interview Reed or Chicago with a little bit more focus, talking about how, yes, their performances through the summer haven't been the greatest, but we're expected to get back and start grinding at the house to regain that top spot as one of the best. Great to see an organization, while a bunch of others are leaving, stick to signing their players for not just the next upcoming season, but the year after that as well. Obviously, contracts always have the ability to be negotiated and buyouts can happen, but the fact that they're willing to back their roster and dedicate to them, even with the lackluster performance recently, and make them understand, like, okay, back to the team house we go, time to grind again, I think is awesome. I mean, we're talking about how this roster is going to be starting to compete for the next season of RLCS in just over 10 days here. Either way, looking forward to seeing what G2 does as they support their players as we continue to move forward. In a recent post by the Esports Insider, it was talked about how Dreamhack is going to be producing the next season of the RLCS. This is something that I can actually provide a little bit more insight on because I've been a part of both sides of that production team. I've worked with their old production partner, NGE, or Next Generation Esports, which is where people like Findable Carpet and Wavepunk actually work currently. But I've also worked with Dreamhack in the past as well, but I feel like this is going to be a little bit more different approach from when I was working with them in 2017. NGE was a very small production company that started out in Burbank, California, which, if you guys don't know where that is, it's like northeastern LA. It's where we as the casters, when I was with RLCS, traveled to every single weekend to put on the show. If you guys have seen the iterations of the 2 studios, the first one that was a little bit more condensed with the casters on the right-hand side and a little booth, to then really blowing up the stage with the sidewall and the steps and the stairs, as well as all the other stuff that went down. NGE has been there since the inception of Rocket League Esports. So I've gotten to know their production team and a lot of their kind of higher ups pretty well over the years. They're also the team that is behind a lot of other esports that you guys have seen produced. Stuff like all the Twitch Rivals tournaments they do. They do a lot of the stuff for Fortnite. They've done stuff for Hearthstone, and I mean, they have a ton of different projects. They did the Collegiate League for League of Legends. I mean, they've done so many different productions that it's hard to kind of pick apart. So the fact that Psyonix is now going to somebody else is really interesting, and I think a big reason as to why they're doing Dreamhack is because the accessibility it provides already with the regional tournaments. You think about how many Dreamhacks open to the public at a consistent rate, and now you can pretty much assume that regional events are going to be there, which is awesome, which is great because people are going to be able to go and attend it and watch these matches that accumulate circuit points to get into the World Championship. It's essentially going to make this year of RLCS LAN League play, which is awesome. It's actually really difficult to keep my thoughts on track because there's so many different things that this may lead to. Overall, big things to note from this. Number one is the fact that they are no longer using NGE. After 4 years of using them, they are now going over to Dreamhack, and I think part of the reason why is the fact that they are able to use the regional events and other events at Dreamhacks that will already exist post-COVID. This is also interesting because for some of their other broadcasts, they use a production company by the name of Bento, which is who they use for CRL. They used to use Tespa in the past as well. So the fact that they've stuck with Dreamhack is interesting. Now, if this ends up being an in-studio thing where they need to do certain events in-house, I don't know if they're going to continue to use other production companies or if they're going to just produce stuff online in kind of how they do right now with like they did the spring series, or if they're going to do a different approach and actually have an in-house studio that these guys go to work at. I actually don't know if Dreamhack has a studio at a specific location that they run out of, or if they just bring that production to every event each time. I should probably look that up. This article doesn't really provide much insight. It actually just talks about where the format is going to circuit-based style, how they've done Dreamhacks in the past with the $400,000 tournaments they did in 2019. But it doesn't really say anything else other than that. Big things to note is people have a lot of questions about what that's going to mean for the talent. I can tell you right now, talent should probably be staying the exact same. Expect the same guys that you know from the RLCS to be involved. I have a lot of concerns about what's happening to the rival series talent. I genuinely do not know. And I can tell you guys for just assumption's sake, I'm not going to be involved. Psyonix is still the ones backing it. They're still the ones that control everything. It's just the actual company that produces the show is changing from NGE to Dreamhack. That's the only difference that's happening, and I think it makes a ton of sense based upon the circuit style that they're going to, which makes me hopeful for when this pandemic clears up, that these events and these regional events, if they align with the splits and how they play out, they'll be at Dreamhacks rather than just online where the guys are in studio when we watch from home. We can actually go and watch them live, which means land play, which means better competitive integrity, which is just awesome all around for the sport. It does make me a little bit more concerned though for the major events, because if the majors are just another Dreamhack, it's not going to really feel like the same weight as like the difference between going to a Dreamhack and going to an RLCS. It's going to feel too similar. So I do hope that there's a little bit of differentiation between a tournament that is ran at Dreamhack in addition to everything else going on, rather than an event that is just dedicated to Rocket League. I hope that makes sense. Also, I briefly talked about this in the last video. Charlotte Phoenix has officially announced that they are picking up Dappur as their third. So with that, they have officially decided their roster moving forward. This is going to be the team between Dappur, Karma, and Shadow into RLCS X, unless they decide to make another change. But as of right now, they can't because of the 2/3 rule, assuming that is still an issue. Moving forward, they're going to still have to wait for quite a while before that next trade window. So best of luck to Charlotte Phoenix moving forward. I personally don't know if this is going to make a difference, but either way, I'm glad Dappur's found a home. And one of the top comments from last video actually comes from Celeron, who asks, on Orcs, I still can't figure out how SSG's deal with Jon makes money for either of them. He doesn't rep them all that much, and I don't see content specifically catered to the org. Just wondering. So in very simplistic terms, you're bringing it up. So clearly it's worked. The fact that you're talking about it and thinking about it, and that you recognize that Space Station is in association with Jon Sandman in some way, has proven that the marketing works. The whole point of that deal, and you may not see the direct impact right away, but Jon Sandman is a content creator with 1 million plus subs. And even though he is not forced to, I guess, promote them or do content and stuff with them, you have to think about some of the stuff that may happen long term. If Space Station goes to an event, they might bring Jon Sandman, who carries his audience and brings them with. If there's a convention with Space Station Gaming, or a big activation with a sponsorship or something like that, all those things and all that money that I talked about in last video about how orgs make their money with sponsorships kind of ties to Jon as well, because he also helps represent Space Station Gaming. All the people that go to become fans with Jon will also see that through like his Twitter bio or other various avenues. Even though he doesn't heavily promote or have their logo somewhere on his stream or anything like that, people still recognize that he is a part of Space Station. So if a organization that makes a ton of money off of sponsors comes in and says, hey, we're X brand, say you're G Fuel, I guess, for an example, and G Fuel comes out with a new flavor that Space Station content creators are going to get, that then goes to Jon, they get the money worth, that sponsorship ends up being happy, and that partnership continues to thrive. So whether it be an in-person thing, an online thing through his videos or otherwise, you may not see the direct impact right away, but they're essentially paying a lot of money to have Jon in association for certain events. And I think the big one being is if you look at their presence at the last World Championship. I mean, yes, they brought a content team. Hell, now they can just send Jon, and they don't have to send a full content team and people from their organization. Jon goes, creates a vlog, puts it out on his YouTube. Space Station gets to promote it. Jon gets to make content. They both get paid. They're both happy. It kind of works out in that sense. Maybe in a North American tournament, or with all these Dreamhacks possibly coming up that we talked about earlier in this video, Jon is going to be at those events most likely as a representative of Space Station. Might be in his contract that he has to go to those. A lot of those firm details we don't really know, but I can totally understand where you're coming from. But unlike the other content creators that have to plaster, the Space Station branding all over their socials and their streams and stuff, it's a little bit different circumstance where his brand has been built to increase in such a value that he's not willing to give it up unless they pay an exorbitant amount of money. Even though I'm nowhere near Jon, I also think that my branding is to a certain point where you're going to have to pay a lot of money to get me to promote that stuff constantly. It's just, there's certain values that go with that. And credit to Jon. Jon's busted his butt. I've gotten to know Jon very closely over the years, and people don't really understand how much work he actually puts in to put out videos. Like, I make daily videos for you guys for the most part, and like, I'm exhausted. He crushes out daily videos every single day. He's got 2 kids. He still streams. Like, I honestly don't know how he does it. The guy's a monster. So, and this is me being biased, whether he, is benefiting from it significantly, which I assume he is, and whether Space Station is getting anything out of it or not, dude, credit to Jon. I'm super happy for him. That is going to wrap it up for this video, guys. If you have any questions, comments, concerns, you guys know to drop those down below, and you may find yourself featured in one of the videos. And if you guys enjoy the content, make sure you guys give it a thumbs up, as well as hit subscribe and turn on notifications so you don't miss out on the best place to find Rocket League news. That is going to do it for me. Hope you guys have a great rest of your day. Peace.